The tradesman sat down opposite the seats of the lady and the lawyer, and immediately started a conversation with a young man who had also entered at that station, and, judging by his appearance, was a tradesman's clerk. I was sitting the other side of the gangway, and as the train was standing still, I could hear snatches of their conversation when nobody was passing between us. The tradesman began by saying that he was going to his estate, which was only one station farther on. Then, as usual, the conversation turned to prices and trade, and they spoke of the state of business in Moscow, and then of the Nizhny Novgorod fair. The clerk began to relate how a wealthy merchant, known to both of them, had gone on the spree at the fair, but the old man interrupted him by telling of the orgies he had been at in former times at Kunavin fair. He evidently prided himself on the part he had played in them, and recounted with pleasure how he and some acquaintances, together with the merchant they had been speaking of, had once got drunk at Kunavin, and played such a trick that he had to tell of it in a whisper. The clerk's roar of laughter filled the whole carriage. The old man laughed also, exposing 2 yellow teeth. Not expecting to hear anything interesting, I got up to stroll about the platform till the train should start. At the carriage door, I met the lawyer and the lady, who were talking with animation as they approached. "You won't have time," said the sociable lawyer. "The second bell will ring in a moment." And the bell did ring before I had gone the length of the train. When I returned, the animated conversation between the lady and the lawyer was proceeding. The old tradesman sat silent opposite to them, looking sternly before him, and occasionally mumbled disapprovingly, as if chewing something. "Then she plainly informed her husband," the lawyer was smilingly saying as I passed him, "that she was not able and did not wish to live with him, since—" He went on to say something I could not hear. Several other passengers came in after me. The guard passed, a porter hurried in, and for some time the noise made their voices inaudible. When all was quiet again, the conversation had evidently turned from the particular case to general considerations. The lawyer was saying that public opinion in Europe was occupied with the question of divorce, and that cases of that kind were occurring more and more often in Russia. Noticing that his was the only voice audible, he stopped his discourse and turned to the old man. "Those things did not happen in the old days, did they?" he said, smiling pleasantly. The old man was about to reply, but the train moved, and he took off his cap, crossed himself, and whispered a prayer. The lawyer turned away his eyes and waited politely. Having finished his prayer and crossed himself 3 times, the old man set his cap straight, pulled it well down over his forehead, changed his position, and began to speak. "They used to happen even then, sir, but less often," he said. "As times are now, they can't help happening. People have got too educated." The train moved faster and faster, and jolted over the joints of the rails, making it difficult to hear. But being interested, I moved nearer. The nervous man with the glittering eyes opposite me, evidently also interested, listened without changing his place. "What is wrong with education?" said the lady, with a scarcely perceptible smile. "Surely it can't be better to marry as they used to in the old days, when the bride and bridegroom did not even see one another before the wedding," she continued, answering not what her interlocutor had said, but what she thought he would say, in the way many ladies have. "Without knowing whether they loved or whether they could love, they married just anybody, and were wretched all their lives. And you think that was better?" she said, evidently addressing me and the lawyer chiefly, and least of all the old man with whom she was talking. "They've got so very educated," the tradesman reiterated, looking contemptuously at the lady and leaving her question unanswered. "It would be interesting to know how you explain the connection between education and matrimonial discord," said the lawyer, with a scarcely perceptible smile. The tradesman was about to speak, but the lady interrupted him. "No," she said. "Those times have passed."